Hello everyone, in this video I'll be teaching you the fishing pole trap. This trap can be played as black. And in the fishing pole trap, we open with e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6 and bishop to b5. The Ruy Lopez is on the board. Now from here, what do we play? Well, we play knight to f6, the Berlin defense. Now, the main move from here is castles. Why do we see castles? Because simply, you can't take this pawn, because you see rook to e1. The knight retreats to f6. You simply take with your knight on e5, and this knight is double attacked. You can take with your knight, so knight takes on e4. Knight takes on e5, sorry, and rook takes on e5 with check, and then the bishop will have to block. So you haven't gained any material advantage from this. So there is no need to take this pawn at all. So, going back to castles, we see knight to g4, attacking this h2 square and the f2 square. We see h3, trying to kick away this knight because this knight is very strong on g4. But we're not going anywhere. We play h5, just defending our knight. White must be confused. You're giving up a knight for a pawn. And white goes ahead with h takes on g4, h takes on g4, and have you noticed? The whole h file is open for the rook. And also, the queen can come to the h file once this knight is moved. This knight is holding the h4 square for the queen. If the knight moves to e1, simply queen to h4, and it's a mate on the next move with h2 or h1. So, white has to stop this. There's no other move to play apart from f4 or f3. If white tries to escape with f3, then simply we close in the position with g3, this effective move that holds the f2 square. Now from here, rook to f2, trying to give up material. We don't want this to happen because if we see captures, then simply the king can move over to f1. And then if you check with your queen, the king can escape. He will be exposed, but the checkmate will look like this. So the king will move to e2, and then you have to play f1 to a queen. King moves to e3, and now from here, it's queen h to g1, then it will be checkmate. So this checkmate took a lot longer than expected. So you could have done checkmate straight away instead of capturing the rook. So let's go back into the position. Instead of capturing this rook, we don't need to. Instead we can do checkmate straight away with queen to h1, and this is a checkmate. So all the squares are covered, and the entrance did not work for white. This pawn on g3 was very effective. Still, if you play the move f4, this doesn't work because you play f3, still blocking the square off. And now from here, if you see f3, white has to give up the queen. White has to play queen to h5. You can take with your rook or your queen. So if rook takes, then it's still going to be a mate on the next move. There's no way to stop this. And now the same thing. White will try to sacrifice a piece. Then it's just queen to h1, and this is checkmate. This is the first variation of the fishing pole variation. Let's move on. Here's a little spoiler. This is a smothered in mate, but how do we get to this? Well, we go for e4, e5, knight f3, knight to c6, and bishop to b5, a Ruy Lopez, with the Berlin defense of knight to f6. Castles on the king's side, and now we have knight to g4 once more. Instead of playing the h3 move, which didn't work for white, the rook is shifted over to e1, just defending this pawn. This pawn isn't attacked in any way, but because the knight has just moved to g4, so there's no threats against this pawn. So the rook just moves over to the e-file to gain some control. Bishop to c5. So now this h2 pawn is attacked, and also at the same time, this f2 square is double attacked. d4, stopping any interruptions. We have knight takes on d4, knight takes on d4, and queen to h4. So in this position, you can't take the knight because your knight is hanging. And you can't play a move such as d6 because of the bishop on b5 is holding a pin. Now we have queen to h4, threatening to capture this pawn on h2, and then when the king moves after check, this will be very bad as white. Now, a simple move from here is knight to f3, just kicking away the queen and the pieces. Queen takes on f2 with check. The king is forced to move to h1, and now we have the very strange move queen to g1. Why do we play this? Because white can simply play knight takes on g1, but then that's not the point. Knight to f2 is checkmate. And also, if rook takes on g1, this also doesn't work. Knight takes on f2 is a beautiful smothered checkmate and attacking the queen as well at the same time. So sacrificing a queen leads to a checkmate for black. So this trap is very effective. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video on the key concepts of the fishing pole variation and the fishing pole trap. Please remember to like this video and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.